What's going on, guys? Nutri's here. Back with my fantasy outlook as usual. For week 13. This week we'll be doing recap, start 'em, sit 'em as always, waiver ads, and then the buy low slash sell high candidates and trading center. Goodbye to them. If you're in basically any normal fantasy league, it is done for you now. So goodbye to the trading center. Unfortunately, I can't help you guys with that anymore. I hope you listened to me. A lot of the stuff I said ended up coming true. Joe Mixon should have been traded high when you could have. I mean, he's on the IR now, along with various other things. We'll see with Dalvin. I told you guys to trade him. We'll see how he does. But yeah, on to our recap. So to recap for quarterbacks, we went 7-5. This week was a little hard in the aspect that a lot of people did not play. There were a lot of injuries. There were a lot of COVID cases. A lot of people that I had on my list did not play. For the most part, I went with their backups. Replaced that with them instead. Like in case of Tua, I would have definitely said start Fitzpatrick. If I knew Tua wasn't playing. Today's Thursday when this video is coming out because the waiver wire doesn't go through Friday because of the Steelers game. But usually I make these videos on Tuesday, so it's pretty early in the week. It's hard to tell if a player's going to be playing or not. So I usually keep that as a backup. We did pretty well. Derek Carr was a complete shock. Matt Ryan just barely, underperformed. But Derek Carr, wow. What the fuck happened in Atlanta? I don't know. Daniel Jones was on pace to having a good game. He got hurt, unfortunately, had to leave. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have been an L. And then for my sits, Tannehill shocked me. But I was right about not starting the Ravens quarterback versus Pitt. Mike Glennon had a hell of a game versus Cleveland, so I was wrong about that. Goff and Ben were great sits, though, as I told you guys to do. So far we did pretty well with the quarterback, 7-5. I'd consider that pretty solid. For running backs, we went 5-7. Definitely not great at all. Salvin Ahmed didn't play. I gave myself the L because basically every Miami running back after that went ass. I probably wouldn't have said to start Matt Breida or any of them if I knew Ahmed wasn't playing, but I gave myself the L anyway. For Todd Gurley, I gave myself a cancel out because each of the Falcons running backs, one did good, one didn't. So I gave myself like a cancel for that. Gallman did well. Naheem Hines did well in place of John Taylor. Moss L. Bernard L. I was barely wrong about my sit of the week. I gave myself a tiny L, but I said to sit Mostert. He only got 10 points. So if you sat him, you listened to me, you're not that upset. 10 points is really nothing. But I did give myself the small L. I almost nailed that. I was really close, but unfortunately not. Gus Edwards I was right about, but then Ronald Jones killed me a little bit. Jamal Williams and Singletary were shocking as well. We went 5-7. Not the worst, definitely not the best either. Wide receivers, we killed it, going 9-4. Our start of the week, DJ Moore just barely got a W, 10.1. But before he got hurt, he was on pace to have a way better game. So I think he would have been a way more of a home run if he continued to play. I also had Fuller here, who really exceeded expectations, along with Calvin Ridley. I was wrong about Boyd and Fulgham. It seems like either of them are like kind of hard to start now. Fulgham just fell off, and Boyd lost his quarterback, so being a Boyd owner, that kind of sucks. I was really hoping that wouldn't happen, but it did. Jacoby Myers and Sterling were good starts, though. Both got over 10 points. Sterling's become pretty consistent. I was wrong about my sit of the week, Amari Cooper. He played really well, even though they got blown out. I was right about Judy. He didn't even get the ball once. I was right about the Bills receivers, I guess. Cole Beasley only got 9.3, so that was a W for me there because John Brown didn't play. I gave myself a W for Corey Davis. Even though he got 10, he literally only got 10. So I would consider that like a good sit. Like, you're not happy with that. I gave myself the big L for Godwin, and I gave myself a big W because Valdez-Scantling didn't even touch the ball. 9-4 for wide receivers is exceptional. For tight ends, we finally had that enormous week on tight ends. I went 9-1 this week. Literally everything I said was a W. I had people asking me, should I start Evan Ingram? Should I start Mike Gesicki? Should I start Austin Hooper? I told them all to do it. They all got their W's. I know somebody asked me to start Evan Ingram. He started him in all his leagues. He got that nice 17 in every league. I was basically right about everybody but Goddard. And I guess Goddard's been proving me wrong because I had him as a sit 2 weeks in a row and he did good both times. But 9-1, we we really had a good week. If we look at this, we went positive in every category. Massively positive in wide receiver and tight end. We went a little bit negative in running back, but we did really good this week. We also went 4-1 on the defenses. I got everybody right except for the Browns. So honestly, if you're listening to me right now, guys, you are having a great time in fantasy. So I hope you pass the word on. Maybe to people not in your league, so that you don't have to lose to people. Well, let's get started with this week's start of Sid'em. I got some bold picks in here. I got Taysom Hill as my start of the week. He did okay versus Denver, but he really blew out Atlanta the first time he played them. So I have him here again as a start of the week. I got Trubisky. Hate on him all you want. I don't think he's that bad in real life, but he's definitely not bad for fantasy. He gets those rushing yards and stuff. He really is a good fantasy quarterback. I have him as a start versus Detroit. I have Ryan Tannehill versus Cleveland. I have Derek Carr versus the Jets. I think Carr's going to bounce back. I got Kirk versus Jax. They're a bad D, and he's been playing very good football. And then I put Ryan Fitzpatrick / Tua, whichever one plays, versus Cincy, I think is a home run. My sit of the week is Matt Ryan. He's been kind of shit in the bed, and versus a tough D like that, I wouldn't start him. It's a division matchup, so it wouldn't shock me if he did good, but I think he's going to shit the bed. I got Carson Wentz. We got one lucky Hail Mary out of him to rescue his week last week. It's not going to happen again. I got Matt Stafford versus Chicago. I got Ben versus Washington. Their defense is a little too good. I got Jared Goff versus Arizona, even though that's a division game. And then I got Russell Wilson versus the Giants as my bold sit. I uppercased it. Giants have been holding quarterbacks really well. They play a great D. It's keeping them in it. It's the reason why they're first place in their division. They're doing something right on their defense. Russell Wilson's being held under a good amount of fantasy points for a few games now. He's definitely been struggling a little bit. Versus the Giants, I can see him getting less than 15, which is my mark for a W. If he has less than 15, that's a W as a sit. I can see it happening. You'd probably be crazy to sit him, and you probably think I'm crazy for telling you to sit him. But I think if you could fetch Taysom Hill or Trubisky or the Dolphins quarterbacks, any of them on the waiver, I think you're going to have a better time than Russell Wilson. You can call me crazy, but let's see how this hits during the week. For my running backs, my start of the week is Montgomery. He really had a nice week last week. He's definitely not one of those running backs you start every week, but I would start him this week for sure. I got Myles Gaskin back in his return versus Cincy. I got James White versus the Chargers. White's been on fire. I got Gallman versus Seattle. Gallman's also been on fire, so I would rock with him again. Especially if Daniel Jones is out, they're going to need to run the rock a lot. I got John Taylor versus Houston. The Colts running game has really found its own. I got J.K. Dobbins versus Dallas. Dobbins looks like he's the lead guy. I would give him a shot here versus Dallas. And I got one bold start is Frank Gore. If you really need somebody out there, he's available in a ton of leagues. He could definitely fill your hole at running back this week. My sit of the week is McKissick. McKissick has been falling off a little bit versus Pitts D. I definitely wouldn't start him. I got Zach Moss versus San Fran. Chase Edmonds. Kenyon Drake is finally playing well, but also they're going against a tough matchup, so I would sit Edmonds. I got Melvin Gordon here. Even though his matchup says it's pretty good with 19th, I think that if they don't have Drew Lock playing, they're definitely not going to be able to move the ball at all versus KC. I got Benny Snell versus Washington. They're a really good D, and he hasn't been playing that good. And then I got Todd Gurley versus New Orleans. That D is so good. They held him to 4 points last time. I got him as a sit here again. Even if he's not healthy, I would not start Ito or Brian Hill. For wide receivers, my start of the week is Justin Jefferson. I got him versus Jax. He's also a guy that I don't think everybody starts every week. Especially if you're in like a 10-man, he's not going to be on your start every single week. But versus Jax, I would definitely do it. I got Cooper Kupp versus Arizona. Even though I put Goff as a sit, I think Kupp's going to get his own touches. I got Devontae Parker versus Cincy. Devontae Parker's been coming into his own, and if Fitzpatrick is playing like it looks like it, they connect really well together, so I would definitely start him. I got Jarvis Landry versus Tennessee. He had an amazing week last week. I sat him, basically costing me the playoffs in one of my leagues, which really sucks, but I think he's going to do good again this week. I got Debo versus Buff. Debo's been really good too. Every time he's been healthy, he's been good. So even though he got the tough matchup here, I would say to start him until he fails you. I got Sterling Shepard versus Seattle. He's been really coming into his own. He's consistent now, so I would start him. And then I got Michael Pittman versus Houston. He's been on fire, and Houston's defense is really bad. For my sit of the week, I got CeeDee Lamb. Baltimore's defense is too good for the Cowboys to handle, and I'm not doubting on Amari Cooper anymore, but a lot of people still start CeeDee Lamb. I would not start him this week. I got Jerry Jeudy as a repeat offender versus KC as a sit-em. I got Kenny Galladay / Marvin Jones. I don't know if Galladay's going to play. He still got that questionable tag. But even if he does versus Chicago, he's not worth starting. And if he doesn't, Marvin Jones isn't worth playing either. I got Sammy Watkins versus Denver. Watkins is back, and he might start getting touches soon. But right now, it's the Tyreek Hill and Kelsey show. So I wouldn't even bother starting Watkins, to be honest with you. I got Christian Kirk versus the Rams. They're number 1 D. Even Hopkins is going to struggle, so I definitely would not start Kirk, even though he has his big games. And then I got Ayuk versus Buffalo. I think it's going to be Debo's game. I don't think it's going to be much passing going to be done for Ayuk, so yeah, I have him as a sit. For my tight end, I got TJ as my start of the week. A lot of people start him every week, but at the same time, he has games where he doesn't do that great. So I have him as a start of the week here. He's definitely a home run versus Chicago. I got Evan Ingram versus Seattle. He's finally coming into his own. I think versus Seattle, he'll be very good. Even if Colt McCoy plays, he's going to be a go-to. I got Robert Tonyan versus Philly. Philly's D is so bad. I think Rodgers is going to have to hit everybody up on their receiving core. I got Ebron versus Washington. He's been playing really well. He's becoming Ben's new favorite target. I got Jordan Reed versus Buffalo. I think that he'll find a way to get in. There weren't many other tight ends to choose from this week. My sit of the week is Tyler Higbee. I remember when everybody was high on him, but this week I definitely wouldn't start him. I got Jimmy Graham versus Detroit. Logan Thomas versus Pittsburgh, the number 1 D. Don't even bother. Drew Sample versus Miami. And Dalton Schultz, even though it says 19th, do not start him. And for my defenses, I gave you an extra one this week. I put 6 here. I got the Ravens versus the Cowboys. Steelers versus Redskins. Seahawks versus Giants. This only works if Daniel Jones is not playing. If he is, I don't want it there. I don't want to count it. That's why I put an extra one for you guys. If Daniel Jones is playing, then do not pick them up. But it looks like he's not gonna. So, and then I got Dolphins versus Bengals. That should be a home run. Raiders versus Jets. Their D sucks, but anybody's good versus the Jets. And then I got Chiefs versus Broncos. As far as my waiver ad go, there's not too much, but I would add Kiki Kuti. I think he's worth a spot with Fuller out. Watson really likes to spread the ball, and I think he's going to be the new number 2. They also cut Kenny Stills, so it looks like it's really going to be Kiki Kuti. I got Frank Gore. I mentioned him before. I think he'll have a good week. I got Cam Akers. It looks like he's emerging more and more as the weeks go. I think that he might become a number 1 back right in time for playoffs and might help you guys who need a running back. I got Aguilar. He's been pretty good for the Raiders. 47%. I say why not if you have the roster spot. I got Devontae Booker. If Josh Jacobs somehow doesn't play, he's a home run start versus the Jets. So I would pick him up. I got Kirk Cousins here and Mitch Trubisky. Those are 2 quarterbacks that I would ride high right now. They're playing really good and they got easy matchups. So that's it for this week's video, guys. Please let me know if I'm helping you guys. I would really like to hear your feedback below. Let me know if you need any questions. I'll start them, sit them. Unfortunately, the trade center is closed, but I can still help you guys start the right people and figure out the waivers maybe. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Nutries, signing out.